reactions.
And most importantly, independent in mind and execution.
This is a normal response. Are you ready?
Marawa Sports Worldwide.
And I guess something to breathe about and get excited, I suppose, from an Arsenal perspective.
Flicked on by Marino and flicked in! Who needs a number 9?
Mikel Merino scoring the only goal of the game, though, as Arsenal beat Chelsea to move 12 points behind the Premier League leaders. Liverpool, reaction coming through from Ateta.
Yeah, very happy, obviously, with the result, with big parts of that performance. I love the attitude of the team.
And so I'm really disappointed about Lewis Hamilton's start, in Ferrari. I hope he can pick up and really do well. We want to see him winning another championship.
I'm not saying Sipochaino was cheating, but I think he delayed the match for a while. I'm sure that 12 to 13 minutes, Mr. Marawa, but the referee just put 6 minutes.
Jesus is not cooking on the side of players, but they are cooking at the side of coaches. But they'll find the reality of Nabi next season.
Don't understand what's happening with the team at Naturena. I really don't know what is wrong with Chiefs, because one had serious hopes when the season started. Although we understood and knew that it was not gonna be an instant success in terms of the turnaround of the team, but it's like now I don't see where we're going.
Robert Marawa, live on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. #MSW.
It is the Tuesday edition of Marawa Sports Worldwide, proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
Let's go!
The moments you remember. The games you can't forget. Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bets.
First of all, I know that the president or the chairman of TS Galaxy want more TS Galaxy players in the team, but they have to be available. So you see, when you call someone, you don't have a passport. Secondly, I think that players, when they are on the preliminary list, the first thing they have to look after is to have a passport, because there is there is an opportunity for them to be with the national team. You need to do everything, nearly everything, when there is a called up, even when you are on the preliminary list. So in that case of Ndamase, he knew already 14 days ago that maybe there was a possibility that he should be with the national team. So you don't have to look after if I have a passport or not the moment you are really called up. Just try to have one and be ready. So it's a pity for him. He had an opportunity to be with the national team, and now it's because he don't have a passport. And if you only will be in order with passport and with visa at the end of the week, I don't think that this is the right moment to call you. When you are here, you have to be ready for everything. And that was not the case with Ndamase.
Right, so Hugo Broos again spitting fire, saying that the TS Galaxy defender Kurban Ndamase's passport situation cost him a place in the national team. If you remember, the 20-year-old Ndamase, who was playing for Kaizer Chiefs in the Diski Challenge before he found a home for himself at TS Galaxy, has impressed in defense, though, with this team only conceding 22 goals in as many games. So he does get left out. Hugo Broos just re-emphasizing the fact that if he does call you up for the prelim squad, you better make sure that you have your passport, at least, just in case you do get to the final call-up. All right, let's kick off the show, though, with an in-depth preview of the thrilling conclusion, though, of the Atlantic South Africa Grand Prix, the Continental Tour Challenger. Before we dive into the news about the Formula One Grand Prix, the bid that South Africa has made, maybe if you've got any thoughts or comments or questions, please start lining those up on the WhatsApp voice note. Hey, the Formula One bid is in, and we'll be dealing with that straight after the break at 20 past. But with the South African Athletics, the Grand Prix Continental Tour Challenger, the final leg of this exciting series is going to be taking place tomorrow night at the University of Johannesburg. And it is promising an evening of intense competition as South Africa's top athletes do take to the track. Now, joining me is Wesley Button, sports reporter for The Citizen, as we delve into the standout athletes, well, the key rivalries that we've seen. I'm also going to discuss a little bit about the grand finale and what it means for the future of athletics in our nation. So we got the Citizen sports reporter, Wesley Button. Haven't spoken to you in a while, sir. Good evening and welcome.
Hey, Robert. It has been a while, man. Good to be back.
Have you been as excited? I mean, yesterday I was waxing lyrical here on the show about Walaza, the 9.99 seconds and everything that he's achieved. For you, what's been the outstanding performances so far?
Oh, that's got to be it. It really is. You know, Walaza is now the fifth fastest junior in history, which is saying a lot. You know, if you compare South Africa to global sprinting powerhouse nations like the United States and Jamaica, you know, every year we seem to just get a bit closer to them, and we seem to narrow that gap a little bit. And over the last 10 years, we've just got closer and closer. And I think this is just another indication that we're almost there. We're almost at the same point where the United States is in terms of sprinting. And Walaza at the moment is the fastest junior in the world. And I imagine he's only going to get quicker.
Fastest junior in the world. That's unbelievable, though, Wesley, because, I mean, he has a guy who was taking so much slack just a couple of months ago when he made that big, bold decision to stay at home and not be tempted to go to the United States of America and go to the varsities there or be trained on that side. He says, you know what, I became as fast and became an Olympic athlete from being here in South Africa. Has he made the right decision?
I think so, definitely. You know, we have had some athletes, and you know, we can consider this across various sports. But if we're talking about athletics, the collegiate system in America is completely brutal. It really is. It can break an athlete. Some people have found success. If we look at someone like Sean Maswanganye, who formed part of our relay team at the Olympics last year, he's based in the States, and he's made it work. But I find that most athletes from South Africa who go over to the States and run in that collegiate system, they come out of it broken. And if we look at our best performers in South Africa over the last 10 years, I think it's objectively correct that our top two sprinters have been Akani Simbine and Wade van Niekerk. And Akani and Wade both based themselves in South Africa. They didn't leave. We have the resources here. You know, we have the coaches here. We have the facilities here. There's no reason to leave. And I think Walaza made a really good decision to stick with his coach, Thabo Matabedi, because he's got a very unique running style. You know, he's got a bizarre running style, but he seems to find success with Matabedi. And I think if he left, if he changed coaches, if he moved to a new environment, you know, there's endless things that could go wrong. And by staying here, by sticking himself in Pretoria, and by staying with the same coach, I think he's made the right decision. There was a bit of controversy about the university he chose, because Tuks is generally considered, you know, the top athletics university in South Africa. And even though he's in the same city, he decided to go with TUT. But, you know, as he said, he's got his own reasons for that, and TUT gave him the best offer. But in terms of his future on the track, staying here, I reckon he made the right choice.
Just on those words, though, make it make sense for us, Wesley. When you say that TUT made him the best offer for an athlete, right? And for somebody who's going to study at the same time, what then becomes a good offer? I mean, just give us an example. It doesn't have to be figures. What would that mean?
I don't think it's monetary, right? So, firstly, you know, as much as Tuks have done, and we have to credit Tuks, really, you know, there's been Olympic Games where like all of our medalists have come from Tuks. So they've obviously done something right over the years. But over the last few years, it seems like their sports program has folded a little bit. And I hope that they manage to pick it up. And I don't know if that's the reason that he chose to go to TUT rather. And he didn't go into great detail about what they were offering him. But I assume, there's certain things like maybe if he went to Tux, he had to use one of Tux's coaches, for example, whereas he wants to stick with his own coach. And maybe that's an offer that TUT provided him. Like you can keep your coach and you can come here. Maybe the scholarship that they offered was better. Maybe they offered him a better course. I don't know the details. He hasn't really gone into details, but there could be a multitude of reasons that he's chosen TUT. But he's not the first athlete to do that. Stephen Mokoka, who has been South Africa's top road runner for over a decade now, also went to TUT. So even though they're not known, at least in that area, as the best university for athletics, they're obviously doing something right, and they maybe just picking fewer athletes who they can support, whereas Tux is maybe supporting a few more.
Let's get stuck into tomorrow night because I'm looking forward to that, and I think a lot of South Africans are. And just to ask you, though, what makes this actual final leg of the ASA Grand Prix so special? What should the fans countrywide look forward to tomorrow night at the University of Joburg?
I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but I was really disappointed today because they initially had Bayanda Walaza running in the 100 meters against Ferdinand Omanyala, who's the African record holder from Kenya. And that was such a big matchup, and I was really, really looking forward to that race. And then they tell us today that, unfortunately, Walaza's decided to run the 200 meters, so we're not going to see that matchup. But at least we still get to see both athletes, right? And it's still going to be an excellent event. There's a lot of other stuff to watch as well. But I think those men's 100 and 200 meter races are probably going to be the highlights of the meeting. Aside from Omanyala in the 100, we've got Bradley Nkwana, who's in his first year as a senior. He was part of that relay team that got a silver medal for us at the Olympics last year. Gift Leotlela, who's kind of on the comeback trail, is also in that 100-meter race. And then I believe Sinesipho Dambile is going to run the 100. So that's an excellent field. It really is. And after, last week in Pretoria at the Grand Prix meeting, Omanyala lost. Like, it's really bizarre that he finished third in that race because he finished third to Karabo Letebele, who's a rising junior, and Emil Erasmus, who's sort of a comeback veteran. So perhaps Omanyala is just not in his best form, but let's see. Maybe tomorrow he produces something better, but he's got a strong field to compete against, so it should be a good race. And then Walaza is now running the 200, and we have Lukolo Adams, who is a former national champion. He's won a Diamond League race before. He's reached the World Championship final over 200 meters. So I think we have good battles there, both in the men's 100 and the 200. And then, lots of other events to watch out for, but I think those are going to be the races to watch.
I never ask you for any predictions, though, Wesley, but today I'm asking you whether you think there'll be any record-breaking performances.
I don't know if we'll see any records. Last week before the Pretoria meeting, I did say that I thought that we would get a women's hammer throw record, which we did see. And then we got a bit of a surprise in the women's 4x4 relay. The national team broke the record there as well. I don't know if we're going to see any records tomorrow, honestly. I don't think, it's March and the season is long. The World Championships is in September. So you don't really want your top athletes peaking now anyway. But just in terms of quality performances, I think we can expect a lot. I really think that Omanyala needs to go under 10 seconds. I think he needs to prove himself now after finishing third last week. And we see Walaza running over the 100 meters so often, but we don't get to see him very often in the 200. And he is the world junior champion in the 200. He's very useful over that distance. But because we don't get to see him race that often, I'm really, really keen to see what he can do. And, the national record is 19.69 in the 200. That's not going to fall tomorrow. But we could see him go under 20 seconds. That would be awesome, if he can achieve something like that. But in terms of records, I honestly don't think we can expect too much.
When you talk about that from a technical perspective, I looked at the track the other day, and I wanted to ask you, though, how the University of Joburg's track compares, though, to other venues in terms of athlete performance as well as the atmosphere generally.
Oh, I love it. I love UJ Stadium. And we don't go there enough, which is why I'm really glad to see that they're having a Grand Prix meeting there. Usually in what they call the Central Gauteng region in athletics, if something was being hosted, they would take it to Germiston. And I'm really glad to see that they've taken it to UJ because they have incredible facilities at UJ. That is an absolutely beautiful stadium. I took a walk. I was there a little while back, a week or two ago, and I took a walk around the track just to have a look. And I tend to do this generally before I cover an athletics meeting, just to check the state of the track. And if you go to Pilditch Stadium, where they hosted last week's Grand Prix meeting, the municipality just isn't taking good enough care of that track. And there's parts of the track that have been torn up. At the 100-meter start, there's barely any track left. But if you walk around that UJ Stadium, it is pristine. It really is. Whoever's looking after that stadium is doing an excellent job. So, the fastest track in South Africa is considered Tuks, where we don't see a lot of top flight athletics anymore for various reasons. But I think we haven't seen a lot of records, a lot of fantastic performances set at the UJ track just because they don't use it very often. And at a top flight meeting like this, I think we'll get a rare opportunity just to see, what the track is capable of, because it does make a difference what track you're on. It really does. And I've watched a lot of schools athletics this year at UJ, and it's an excellent, excellent track. So it's a perfect opportunity, I think, for anyone who wants to come out, run fast times. We'll see what the weather conditions are like. But just in terms of the facilities and the track at UJ, I think it's a really, really good choice by ASA to hold it there.
Good evening, Rob and Wesley. Wesley, I think the young man made the right decision to stay in the country. But I just learned about the disturbing news that Athletics South Africa as an entity has been deregistered with CIPC. I'm not sure if you are aware of that and need to find out what is the implications of that deregistration in as far as the athletes and these times that have been broken this time around by the likes of Walaza and many of these athletes. Just want to hear your views around that.
Geez, we're out of time, but are you able to tackle that one quickly?
Yeah, I think so. So the issue with Athletics South Africa at the moment is an administrative issue, and perhaps it's going to be a problem in the long run. People were suggesting that they might not even be able to select national teams because they're not a registered company at the moment. But this morning they sent the World Indoor Championships team to Nanjing in China. So obviously that's not a problem. And in terms of athlete performances, let's say a record is broken tomorrow at UJ at the ASA Grand Prix. That is a World Athletics affiliated event. So it will absolutely stand. Any performances that athletes are achieving at the moment, they're not going to be scratched. But obviously, I don't know a lot about what's going on. I'm trying to sort of dig into it at Athletics South Africa. But obviously, in the long run, whatever's caused them to stop being a deregistered company, that they need to fix that, and they need to do it quickly. But at least in terms of athletics performances, recognizing athletes, sending teams overseas, it doesn't seem to have affected that.
Thanks for squeezing that in, Wes, as always, man. Thank you so much indeed. Do enjoy tomorrow, and looking forward to chatting to you soon.
Thank you, Rob. Always good, mate.
Thanks so much, man. That's sports reporter with The Citizen. That is Wesley Button giving us all news to do with athletics, and what a great Athletics South Africa Grand Prix Continental Tour Challenger it has been so far.
#MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live at the same time. #MSW.
Introducing the all-new iPhone 16e 128GB from Vodacom, Mzansi's fastest 5G network. Get it now for only 799 Rand per month over 36 months on a 2.8GB Red plan. Enhance your deal when you add 49 Rand extra per month and get the Beats Solo Buds, available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Feather together. Vodacom.
At e-family meetings, drama is always on the menu. From your cousin sending the wrong pic in the family group chat, to Tsepo dodging dishes yet again, and of course, the classic who's cooking next debate. Don't stress, Panarotis has you covered with the classic Monsterito pizza. At almost half a meter wide, it's big enough to share with the family while they tackle all the drama. Get yours for just $199.90, exclusive to rewards members. Panarotis, big on family, big on pizza.
Does your business need funding, as in yesterday? Did you know that with Lula, you could have the funds in your account as soon as tomorrow? At Lula, you can get up to 5 million Rand in business funding in 24 hours. Apply online in minutes with no paperwork, no collateral, and best of all, no hidden costs. Waiting weeks to get your business funded is so yesterday. Apply today at lula.co.za and make cash flow.
Shop your share of 1 billion Rand in savings with Spar Rewards until 21 April. Sign up to Spar Rewards and get more every time you're at the till. Get 2 liters Spar full cream or low-fat ultra-pasteurized fresh milk for $29.99. Save 7 Rand. Or 230-gram Nescafe Classic Coffee Granules or Boy Pack, excluding decaf, for $99.99. Save 30 Rand. Prices valid until 23 March, while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Finding yourself a little overwhelmed with all the wellness fads? Don't know who to believe? Come get the facts in the place where wellness gets real. At Virgin Active, we're about real guidance and real goals. Score 75% off fees for 2 months. Or unlock the freedom to train at any club with 25% off fees for a full year. Visit our website or call us now on 0860 Get Fit. Virgin Active. No frills, just facts. Offer valid for a limited time only. T's and C's apply.
Lotto Star does scratch card games like no one else. In seconds, you could win payouts of up to 75 million Rand. With just a scratch of a card, you could boost your bank balance, win a gold bar, or shine bright on Diamond Rush. Scratch now on lottostar.co.za. Your world of live games. Lotto Star is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No under 18. NRGP 0800 006 008. T's and C's apply. All games are fixed odds betting events.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Just to ask Robert, what is the plan or what do you know regarding outstanding games that Pirate is faced with? Because all the time when Sundowns play, Pirate at times does not. And when Pirate plays, it means Sundowns also plays. Because both will be playing in CAF very soon.
No idea what's going to happen with those outstanding games, though, because for me it's very crucial, very critical that they get addressed as soon as possible. I mean, you can't have, come the end of the season, a team that's only played 11 games. So some teams have played against them, so that is why it's only 11. If they had played 15, you'd say, okay, they've played at least a game with all the teams in the 16 league team. And from my understanding right now, that's Royal Air could have, possibly do have new owners as we speak. But what does it mean in its totality? I don't know.
Hashtag MSW.
Good evening, Mr. Marawa, Makatsine Tegwin. To answer your question, ngowami nje ngicabanga ukuthi ucoach Nabi kumele ukuthi anikwe ithuba. Abuye next season, then we can judge ukuthi kahle umsebenzi wenza kahle or not. Into ezidingayo kakhulu kwiKaizer abaye ukuba onqonqela. Abakwazi ukuthi mabethola i-first option yokuthenga abadlali njengolentozana umbekezeli Mbokazi ngithuka isimanga ukuthi bani kwe-first option kodwa abazange bazi bamthenga ngabe sine defender manje enzima kakhulu ukuthi next season sibheka abanye abadlali.
It is hashtag MSW Marawa Sports Worldwide. A lot of talkability around Nazruddin Nabi, the coach of Kaizer Chiefs, but today focusing on athletics, as you heard from Wes a couple of minutes ago, and now we're going to be getting onto the track. Is it happening? Is it not happening? That's the big question. And all I'm going to request is that you fasten your seatbelts right now, because today we're going to be diving straight into the thrilling world of Formula One. And joining us is none other than Prince Mlimandlela Ndamase. I mean, he's a driving force behind South Africa's bold bid to bring this iconic motorsport back on African soil, and also as a key member as well of the Formula One bid steering committee. as his official spokesperson as well. Prince Ndamase is going to be taking us through as far as what's happening behind the scenes of this high-stakes journey, sharing the passion, the vision, the ambition of fueling South Africa's bid. Now, let's drive right into what this could mean for South Africa. I think a lot of people excited, maybe slightly nervous, all sorts of questions. Be part of the conversation. Send us your WhatsApp voice notes. Otherwise, call us directly in studio 011-883-8947. Bob Ndamase, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening to you, Rob, and good evening to your listeners. At your very beautiful studio, I must say. It's good to be here.
I was going to say, finally, man, we're tired of these telephonic interviews that get held from time to time, eh?
You know, the post-COVID world has all made it seem as if it's the new norm, but it really deprives us of an opportunity to engage and to see one another. And because we all speak and see one another on social media, we assume that, you know, we've met and we know each
other very well.
Yes, very well, Kanji. The time has to come where we sit like this and really have a conversation heart to heart and understand where we're going.
Yeah, thanks for making the time though, Bills. It also affords a lot of the people that are watching on the YouTube channel an opportunity to see you because, yes, you're pretty active on the socials. You're a straight shooter and you give your opinion as it should. But as far as Formula One is concerned, straightforward question, bid submitted?
Well, today is the last day of the bids to be submitted. As you know, we have a first phase of the process where we've really called on people who would want to express their interest in being the promoter for the Formula One race in South Africa to come forward. This is a process where we've allowed people and, you know, interested parties to go out, engage, put together consortia or come directly and to put up their hands and say, look, we believe we can be the race promoter for South Africa. We've got the capacity, we've got the financial muscle, we've got the experience, we've got the skill and the talent. And tonight at 23:59, just before the date changes to the 19th of March, the deadline will have closed. And by tomorrow morning, we will know how many people or how many interested entities have responded to this particular phase of the process. And the committee has committed that we'll look at those bids, obviously transparently and fairly, but importantly also to commit that by the end of April, we hope that we'll have an outcome of which of those entities have made it through to what will be the second phase of this particular process. And now the second phase will obviously be more demanding because it would want whoever has submitted an expression of interest to now really go out, come back with a detailed proposal, because ultimately what we want, Rob, is that when we go back to Formula One as the country, we want to show what we are made of as South Africa. And we know we've got the potential, we've got the capability, we've got the skills, the experience, and we know we could pull off a Formula One race. But whatever we present before Formula One and the FIA must be a true and most competent reflection of who we are as South Africa and what it is that we are capable of.
And obviously a big departure from what happened in 1993, I would imagine. I mean, time has gone. Plenty of conversations have happened. We failed before. Now we got an opportunity to bounce back. Holland, being left behind of this. Our main enemies, not politically, but from a Formula One point of view, would be Rwanda. Or are they, in your opinion?
Look, Rob, from where we sit, we are not competing with Rwanda. We as this country have hosted many international events that Rwanda would only dream of hosting. We've hosted the FIFA 2010 World Cup. We've hosted BRICS Summit. We've hosted the World Summit on Sustainable Development. So we've got a track record internationally of what it is that we can do as South Africa. So we do hear that Rwanda has a bid and they would want to host a race. Well done, good, and best wishes to them. But we are competing amongst ourselves. So
you're not phased at all?
No, we are not phased at all. I mean,
and them hosting the FIA Awards last year and doing it to the international world, as you saw, it was one of the...
Well, an award ceremony and an F1 race are two different things.
Yeah.
What we are targeting is to bring the international community of the world to South Africa. Now, an award ceremony is as per invite event. We are trying to open up our shores and our country and invite the F1 community and all supporters and enthusiasts of the F1 to come to South Africa. And hence I make the point that for us, Rwanda is not the competition. It's about us as South Africa putting up our best proposal, showing F1 that we've got the infrastructure, we've got the skills, experience, and the capability. And if F1, for whatever reason, believes that, and this has been a strong point made by Minister Mackenzie, that we should not limit South Africa or Africa to one race. If it means that there must be a race in South Africa and Rwanda qualifies and there must be a race in Rwanda, so be it. But as far as we are concerned, we are putting up a hand for South Africa, and we believe that we've got what it takes to host an F1 race in South Africa. So we're not too bothered about Rwanda. If Rwanda has a bid, well and good, and best wishes to them. But what we want to do is to ensure that for our country, for our economy, for our people, and for generations to come, we are able to deliver a Grand Prix race, and we are able to go back to the glory days, as you have said, that the F1 was in South Africa before. Last race was in 1993. So it is a great opportunity that now, over 31 years later, we have an opportunity to once again have an engagement that could see the F1 return to our shores.
The 2023 attempt, I mean, I believe we failed because we didn't get to host it and we were not given the nod. What would you say, Ndamase, was the biggest lesson? What then do we take from those failures, and then we try and dust them up and we panel beat them and we put them into yet another formidable bid? Would you be able to pick maybe one or two examples of what our lessons were from the failed bid?
Well, Rob, I think we must also define a failed bid. I think all of these things are about leadership, and we must appreciate that as a country today we've got a minister such as Minister Mackenzie, who has really come up with great passion to say that we need to get our ducks in a row and we need to unite the country in making sure that whoever bids for the F1 race in South Africa does not do it as an individual or as a particular entity or consortia, but that as a country, we do put up our support, and as a country, whatever bid that is put before the F1 is a bid that represents who we are as South Africa as a whole. So the 2023 attempts and many other attempts that have been made have been attempts that have been led by either specific companies, specific individuals, engagements that have really been disjointed in terms of actually getting the national support that you require for a country to put its weight behind a bid such as the F1 bid. And the difference that has come now is that you have an opportunity with the right leadership in place, that it's placing its commitment and the commitment of the government of South Africa to say whatever bid that we put forward will not only be a bid that represents Marawa Sports Worldwide or Ndamase Sports, Motorsports, etc., but it is a bid that will enjoy the full support of the South African government, and it is a bid that will be representative of the South Africa as a country and our government, and it is a bid that will extend to ensure that it brings all the stakeholders in our country as a single bid, and which we will define as a national bid for the F1 race. And I don't think we must compare it to 2023. I think it's a new opportunity, it's a new moment, it's a new context, and we must appreciate that context and the leadership that has been delivered at this particular point in time. And I think it's a leadership that will see us through in this regard.
Yeah, and he has been very passionate, as you rightfully say, and I think that's the right choice of word, as he is passionate about a lot of things that he gets his mind behind. And even here on the show, he did allude to the fact, and I will quote him directly, and maybe this brings comfort to you as well, to say that if I don't bring Formula One to South Africa, then I have failed as a sports minister, end quote. I'm sure you remember those words, and what comfort do they bring you?
They bring me no comfort, because if he fails, it means
we
would have failed as a committee. So it definitely brings no comfort to us as a committee. But it is a challenge, Rob. And I think, if you look at the bid steering committee, it's a committee that has been composed out of very distinguished South Africans. I mean, if you look at the committee, there's a lot of representation of people with great motorsport experience, representatives of motorsport in the country. We've got a good representation and quite a widespread representation of broadcasters in the country, people with a strong legal background, financial background, corporate, public administration. And again, it's a reflection of the seriousness with which the minister is taking this particular task and the effort that's being invested in making sure that whatever may happen, South Africa's best hand must have been put forward. And we are quite confident. And I think the minister's passion is a driving force behind not only the committee, But even those who will respond to the bid, and we hope that by the time the bids close tonight, there will actually be quite a diverse representation of proposals that comes from wide and far and across the country that will really reflect that there is a hunger for us to have this kind of an opportunity to host the Formula One in our country. And I dare say, I think the minister's passion and the commitment that we would want to host and see a race in South Africa by 2027 is something that can be achieved, but obviously it will be achieved if we as a committee execute our work diligently, if we as a country have the ability to unite behind the process. But thirdly, and I think it's quite important that, you know, as we go forward, we all need to open up our minds to the opportunity that hosting a Formula One race means, not only to the motorsport world, but what it means for us as a country, our economy, our positioning, our tourism. And it's really a game changer that we would really live to experience and take glory in as a country if we were to succeed in hosting it.
And just a quick one before I take a break now. I mean, with Cape Town's street circuit that's put up its hand, we've also got Johannesburg. Is it a cut and dry thing that if it does come to South Africa, then it will be Johannesburg, it will be Midrand, it will be Kyalami that will be hosting it? Or is still there going to be a process of finding out a couple of factors that determine the final choice?
Look, the proposals that we expect to see and the expressions of interest, I mean, from what we've read in the media and some of the questions we've received, it tells you that people are proposing different cities, different circuits, and so on. But unfortunately, you know, we will only be able to speak to what is before us once all the proposals have come in. But I must just say, Rob, you know, we speak of having a Formula One race in Africa and it being in South Africa. As you would know, there's many countries in the world that have more than one race. So our point is that let's get a race in South Africa by 2027. If going forward we're able to host 2 or 3 races as part of the calendar, well and good. I mean, we are capable for it. Either Cape Town or Johannesburg is well capable to host an F1 race. I mean, you know, there's other cities we do not speak about in our country. There's Durban, there's Port Elizabeth, there's East London. So it maybe there's Bloemfontein as well. So it doesn't limit us, but the point to be made is that we want to have an F1 race in South Africa. We want to show and display that we've got the capability to do it. And if there's an opportunity that in future, just like Italy and just like many other countries across the world, there's an opportunity to host more than one F1 race in South Africa, I can surely tell you, Rob, we've got the infrastructure and we've got everything that we require in South Africa for us to host such.
All right. After the break, we're going to talk about funding, the costs. I think Ndamase has just mentioned the infrastructure that we do have. What are your thoughts, though? What are your opinions? Do we?
Hashtag MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live at the same time. Hashtag MSW.
How would you like to lighten the load when it comes to getting your freight there conveniently and on time? You can with a tag. No scrambling around for cash or a card. Less time wasted. Choose the convenient way. To drive smart, download the Sanral app to link your cards and manage top-up payments for your convenience. For more info, visit sunral.co.za. Tags are the way to go. Sunral, an agency of the Department of Transport.
Fly Emirates from Johannesburg to Dubai and beyond and start your holiday on board. Enjoy complimentary food and drink. Explore up to 6,500 channels of entertainment, including live sport. Stay connected with onboard Wi-Fi and keep boredom at bay with special meals and toys for kids. You get so much more in Emirates Economy. Book your next getaway at emirates.com. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
Vodacom's Red Hot Deals presents home internet with 600 gigs of data for only 399 Rand per month over 36 months. Get mega data for work and play with up to 30 megabits per second download speed and a Vodacom S90 Plus 4G router. Miss it? Miss out. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Red Hot Deals. Further together. Vodacom.
Experience more value-packed deals this Big Deal Wednesday at Food Lovers Market. Save big on 3 200-gram punnets of white button mushrooms for 50 Rand. Buy 3 700-gram banana thrift packs for only 50 Rand. And enjoy delicious beef potjie course at just 79.99 per kilo. Now that's great value. Valid this Wednesday only at all inland Food Lovers Market stores. It's in the experience.
Just handle exit.
When I need on-the-go relief from a painful sore throat, I use Andalex C lozenges. It kills viruses and bacteria, reduces inflammation, and gives my mouth a burst of fresh flavor. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex C lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it.
Have you ever wondered how you open a handy-andy bottle in order to refill it? Some people use a knife while others squeeze the bottle and hope for the best. But did you know that all you have to do is twist, pour, and you could win weekly grocery vouchers with 2,500 Rands each? To be entered into the draw, simply buy a handy-andy refill pouch from your nearest supermarket and WhatsApp a picture of your till slip to 064 918 0630.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Just to ask Robert, what is the plan or what do you know regarding outstanding games that Pirate is faced with? Because all the time when Sundowns play, Pirate at times does not. And when Pirate plays, it means Sundowns also plays. Because both will be playing in CAF very soon.
No idea what's going to happen with those outstanding games, though, because for me it's very crucial, very critical that they get addressed as soon as possible. I mean, you can't have, come the end of the season, a team that's only played 11 games. So some teams have played against them, so that is why it's only 11. If they had played 15, you'd say, okay, they've played at least a game with all the teams in the 16 league team. And from my understanding right now, that's Royal Air could have, possibly do have new owners as we speak. But what does it mean in its totality? I don't know.
Hashtag MSW. Hashtag MSW.
Good morning, Mr. Rob. It's Fulfilang here, and good to the MSW shoulders. My take for South Africa bidding for the Formula One, it's nothing but positive. You know, we really do need such opportunities, you know, maybe for the sake of attracting future investors that can, further invest in, improving the state of motorsports, especially here in South Africa, and getting Formula One in South Africa it is all well and good. But I just have a question for your guest over there. Does he believe and does he think, in all honesty, that we as South Africa generally are in a state of mind to host such iconic figures and have such an iconic event like the Formula One, in his honest opinion? Because he has certain stories that give us doubt, that make us ask questions. So in his honest opinion, and, maybe he can, dish out facts for all of us, does he think that South Africa are in a state to host a Formula One if the Formula One was to take place tomorrow and they don't have any arena to do so? That's what I want to find out from you guys. Great show as always. Thanks.
Thank you so much indeed. We do have our studio guest tonight, to Prince Mlimandlela Ndamase, SA F1 Bid Committee member as well as spokesperson. Do you have within you the ability to answer that? Does it fall outside of your scope, or is that a generally asked question to you?
Look, Rob, it's not a generally asked question, but I think we can also not be naive enough to not assess where we are as a country. We are a country with numerous challenges that cut across. I mean, our challenges of unemployment, poverty, and to a large extent, we are a country where you may start to believe that people are not very optimistic about our country. But be that as it may, we are also a country with great potential. Now, if you track back where we come from as a country, before the 2010 World Cup, the same sentiments were expressed. Many people had a lot of concerns. Can we do it? Are we capable for it? Are we good for it? Is it a priority given all of our other problems that we have as a country? But we actually pulled off a very successful and one of the most memorable FIFA World Cups ever had, and the very first one on the African continent. And one thing I do know is that as South Africans, we love a good story. And we have good moments, and sport has proved time and again that it has the ability to unite us. And I, without a shadow of a doubt, believe that a Formula One in our country will definitely do a lot to pick up the national spirit. It will do a lot to once again bring back national pride. And I'm quite confident that as South Africans, there's a lot to gain, but also we've got a lot to give and to show the world that despite our problems, we still are a people of hope, we still are a people of great confidence, and we still are a people of great capability to be able to can do what is required, and that puts us amongst the best in the world. So that's the attitude I think we should all employ, and that's the attitude I think we must all have to take us forward.
You talked about a good story to tell. Do we have a good budget?
Look, Rob, the fortunate thing about the Formula One is that we've already done a lot of infrastructure investment in the country. Now, I don't want to speak to specific areas, but if you look at Cape Town as an example, there's a huge infrastructure investment that they do, which is irregardless of whether there's a Formula One event or not. If you look at Johannesburg, there's a huge infrastructure investment that is being done, be it on water, on electricity, on roads. And again, it's not based on there being a Formula One, but it's part and parcel of our growth trajectory as a country for us to be able to can host such an event. And again, unlike the FIFA World Cup, there's no requirement for us to build stadia. So as you have said, for Cape Town may be proposing a street race, which means already they will be utilizing streets that are there. I mean, we've seen the Formula E and so on. And so the assumption is that a street race would be aligned to that. Johannesburg, everyone then speaks of Kyalami. And you might actually find that even in Johannesburg, there may be proposals that speak to a street race. But I think the important thing is that whichever promoter we find in this kind of bid that we are working on now, the financial backing in majority or in to a greater extent should be financial investment that comes from the private sector as opposed to government. And whatever government may put in should be in infrastructure investment, which would, whether or not there's Formula One, I mean, we must increase our ability to treat sewer around, and be able to distribute water. We must increase our investment in roads, etc. So it's investment that the country would enjoy anyway as part of our growth, as opposed to new investment that would have to do just to cater specifically for Formula One.
Is 1 billion rand the projected amount to help, fund the bid itself?
Well, if you look at what other countries have had to put forward, there's an amount of about $50 million, which would then obviously amount to about 1 billion rand. And again, I don't want to, predict the process, but in the engagements with Formula One, there will obviously be a commercial discussion with the promoter, with the country once that has been appointed. And those commercial discussions will then guide us in terms of where we sit. But from what we see, is that other countries have always been sitting in the region of 1 billion rand, which is be about $50 million for them to host a race. But let's look at back, Rob. I mean, what is the benefit of hosting a Formula One race? So if you look at a country like Brazil, just in the last, 2024, 2023, they made about $1.8 billion in terms of economic activity that came with the Formula One race. Now, that's a single race in that particular country. Similarly, if you look at a country like Baku, if you look at Baku, I mean, that race has generated about $506 million over a period of 4 years. Now, it tells you that this is a great economic spinner and a great economic injection into our country. So if you compare the numbers of having a race in South Africa, a $50 million investment versus a 1 billion rand in terms of 1 billion in terms of 1 billion or $1.5 billion in terms of economic activity and injection, which for us translates into much needed jobs, much needed skills and training, much needed investment in our tourism and hospitality industry. It tells you that it would then become a no-brainer for us to be putting forward this bid so that we can really, as part and parcel of the sports, recreation, arts and culture family, give our own input into trying to grow the South African economy and really providing an investment avenue into our economy through motorsports.
All right. If you're listening and you're wondering what is this all about, it is about Formula One. It's about the bid. The hours are ticking by. Also, as a community engagement, I mean, how does the community as well plan to involve some of the local committees in the bid process to ensure that the event simply benefits them as well? Let's hear from you.
Good evening, Marawa, and good evening to your guest. Marawa, maybe it's too early for this question, but I'll ask anyway. Firstly, I've been a Formula One fan since the 90s while we were still watching it, SABC 3. My favorite driver of all time, it's Lewis Hamilton. But one of my favorite drivers, when I started watching a Formula One, it was Mika Häkkinen, where he was a double champion back then. I was competing with Abo Schumacher, Abo Montoya, and others. And Rob, back then, as a manufacturer of a motor, you could still choose, which tires you want. It was not only, the ones that are there. You had, I think, Michelin and Bridgestone. So you had a choice to choose between the two tires. And I still remember Mika Häkkinen was using a Michelin and a Ferrari was using a Bridgestone. So I'm trying to tell you, Yoba, I've been, a supporter of a Formula One. But to a question, look, I would love for a Formula One to be in South Africa, to come to South Africa and go and watch it live. But the question is, with everything that is happening here in South Africa, is it important, to hold a Formula One? With everything, joblessness, the economy, the crime, and everything else that is happening. And secondly, for that weekend or that week that the Formula One is here, how many jobs would it create? And if Formula One would be here for, let's say, for the next 5 years, in that 5 years, how many jobs would it create? And will those jobs be there? Will it be an everyday thing for that 5-year contract? And secondly, Rob, how will it help economy as South Africa? Rob.
Sia in Gqeberha, thank you so much indeed. Lots of questions, but all centered around jobs and projections. Are you able to give us those projections?
Well, Rob, I think we just shared some of the numbers. And I mean, if Sia was listening, would have known. But I think I don't want to go back and rehash the numbers, but the economic impact of such a Formula One race in our country cannot be overstated. I mean, if you look at Formula One, it's not about a weekend. There's an entire build-up. There's a logistics economy that goes around Formula One. There's a hospitality economy that goes around Formula One. And there's a lot of other sub-economic activities that go around Formula One that we would do great as a country to be able to benefit from. And we're quite confident that, out of this opportunity, numerous businesses, numerous avenues of employment, numerous avenues of economic activity would rise to provide people with skills and opportunity. But importantly, Rob, once we've received the economic activity, we must also bring to our country activities such as Formula One to grow the dreams of our young people. Because we do not only want to be hosts of a race, but we also want to, as part of our future planning, be able to say, I mean, today as we speak, we've got youngsters such as Kwame Mukwena who are doing fantastically in motorsport racing. You've got a William Marshall, a Grady, African champ, and in go-karting. So there's young people who are showing us that if we're able to nurture and open this opportunity and bring the Formula One so that we can expose more young people, especially from previously disadvantaged communities, we could be sitting here in 10 years' time with a Formula One champion coming from Ponta Yevel in Cape Town, or from Ngaleni in the Eastern Cape, or from somewhere in Limpopo, because of a decision and the leadership that has said, we want to host a Formula One so that we can open the horizons and really broaden the scope for our young people to be able to dream and to see these things in front of them closer to home than only having to watch them on TV.
Evening, Rob, and evening to the MSW shareholders, and special greetings to Mr. Ndamase. It's so refreshing to hear him speak with so much confidence, because I think sometimes we downplay our achievements and we downplay our capabilities as a country. We've hosted so many top world-class events, so I really don't understand why must it be that we somewhat doubt ourselves, because if let's say the track is up to standard, the standards that are set by FIA, then everything else it should fall into place, because honestly there's so many things that we've hosted over the years and we've hosted them successfully even when others never gave us a chance. So to hear him speak with so much confidence is really refreshing, and it's something that we need, because honestly we've done this before, so we can also do it again. Imagine if we were able to host in 1993 before so many advancements that took place. Now there's so many advancements that have taken place, and the country is now different from what it was in 1993 when we last hosted the Grand Prix. So honestly, I think it's a good thing that is so confident, and I hope that we clinch it and then we are able to host again.
All right, so not a question, it's really a stamp of approval for what you've been saying, and he likes how you've presented yourself and the confidence behind the fact that we can do it. Maybe just a final question, because everything these days centers around environmental awareness, considerations. I mean, how does the bid process address this? Emissions are some of the biggest thing, the carbon footprint, some of the terminology that gets used now and again. Is that central in terms of putting our case forward?
Well, it is, Rob, because Formula One itself, in terms of the documentation they've shared with us, have got very strict requirements of how you deal with issues of sustainability, environmental friendliness, and so on. And I think as we go to the detailed proposals, in terms of Formula One requirements, there's a lot that sits in there with regards to how waste must be managed and how we must be able to deal with all issues that relate to sustainability and the environment, as I have said. And obviously, for us to be able to put up a proposal that complies, whoever becomes the brand promoter would have to ensure that as a country, we are able to meet those particular standards and we are able to abide by the rules that Formula One has presented and placed before us. So for us as a committee, some of those issues really become part and parcel of the commitment that we would have to make to Formula One with regards to our bid, so that we can be able to convince them that as South Africa, we are ready to host this kind of an event and the Grand Prix in our country. But again, as I have said, from where we sit, we've got the capability, we've got the skills. South Africa, it is our time. And Rob, we must actually encourage everybody. This Formula One conversation is not for the elite. We must go into our townships. We must go into our schools in the rural areas. We must explain what is Formula One, so that our people can entirely across the country, our length and breadth, understand what it is that our government and Minister Mackenzie is driving with this project.
It's almost like you could read what I was reading in front of me, because I just picked up a tweet now as we were saying goodbye, coming from Gift. He says, if Formula One is held in Cape Town, it's for the world. And if they bring it to Jersey, then it is for South Africans. He says also, can we get the bid very fast before Lewis Hamilton retires? He deserves to podium in the motherland for even the mother city. So there he is. That's the thinking already.
I fully agree, Rob. And as I have said, we must take this Formula One bid to our people. I was saying to somebody the other day, Prasa Park Station has 500,000 people going through it on every day. We must go there and actually exhibit, put simulators, show people that we can be able to bring a Formula One, so that the kids who go through Park Station every day can imagine it and understand what we're talking about when we talk about the F1, and start dreaming.
All right. Can't believe the dream that the time's over. Prince Ndamase, thank you so much, man, for bringing so much excitement into the studio, so much hope into the studio and to the country at large. That's Prince Ndamase. He is SAF1 Bid Committee member and also spokesperson. Baba, good to see you, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Robin.
Highly, highly appreciated there. All right, catch the show again. Marawa Sports Worldwide, proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
The thrill, the drama, the action. Play the game again. Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bets.